Howdy folks, Worcester here. How YouTube's doing? I have not been on YouTube in quite some time. Haven't done a video on the old Yamaha in a very long time. And a lot of stuff's happened to her. Well, first of all, we're gonna do an update. Plug fouled like usual, so that's changed. Nothing, no big deal. Got new fuel line. Got my old fuel filter back on, but that's all cleaned up now. Fuel line running back to there. It did have a bath until I rode it today after I fixed it, but other than that, it's good. The air filter I haven't cleaned yet, but I don't think I'm going to do that since I cleaned it when I first got it, and it wasn't too bad. But right now, I am draining fork oil. As you can tell there's the drain plug, and on either side of this 78, you will find a Phillips head screw that goes in that hole there, and it will drain the oil out of that. But before you do that, you'll have shock cap screws that come off. They are, what size was that? Let me look here. I used American because I didn't have a metric that was big enough, but I used a 7/8 shock socket. So take those both off there, and then you let it drain out. And these shocks have never been drained since the original owner had them in 78. So it had the original shock fluid in it. So I'm draining all this gunk out, and it is nasty. It's got metal files like crazy in it. It is just jet black and gray. I just don't get it. But so we'll come back afterwards. Alright guys, well, sorry for that little minor setback there, but I was just finishing up draining that fork oil out, and I know, excuse me, and I know that my fork seals are pretty bad on either one of these sides. I can't remember, but they're pretty shot, and not gonna replace them yet, but I'll just keep oil checked up on it and everything. But I finally got that. That's finishing up, so we'll just be about done. We'll put that plug back in here. We're gonna wipe this off just a tad bit more. Make sure there's no debris or anything in there before you put your screw back on. That looks just like about the last of it, so get up in there and clean that all out and wipe off the fork. Take your screw here. Whoopsie. Let me switch hands there. Wipe that off again. Now with this, you want to make sure that you don't strip this out, because if you do, then you will never be able to get your drain to stay closed. So, now let me put the camera down so I can get two hands on this puppy. Alright, well, the drain plug's back in. Now we're going to put the oil in and call this fork good, and we'll move on to the next one. Alright, well, following the manual here on the fork oil change section, in your manual you'll find that you'll find the exact technique that I use, but if you're not in this video would probably help you there. Make sure you use the recommended stuff, because you always want to do what best you can for your machines and keep them in top tip shape running order wise. Don't have to look the best, as you can see, like this one, but other than that, you want to use your Yamaha fork oil, or what I'm using is 10 weight Napa performance oil. But alright, so I did this off camera, which was compressing down the forks in order to push the rest of that old oil out. So we're going to fill her up with oil, and as you can see, the oil capacity, the per fork leg, is going to be 6.4 ounces. I'd round up 6.5 because that's just how I am. I'm a little OCD when it comes to that stuff, but just kind of guess, I guess, in a way. That's what I'm probably going to do. But alright, well, we're gonna fill her up and we'll get back with you. Alright, now we're draining the left fork. Now we got the other one filled back up. This one probably gonna take the same amount of time, so we're gonna let this sucker drain all the way out and we'll get back with you shortly. Alright folks, it just looks like the last of it's draining out now, so we'll do that same process over again. Wipe out your hole and wipe off the end of the shock, and then put your screw back on. Alright, stay tuned. Alright folks, well, that's just pretty much the end of her. Got her all capped off, and the main reason that, if you can tell, that your shocks, well, if your fork oil needs changed in your front forks, is if they're really plush. And since this doesn't have any adjustments that, to my knowledge, of how the damping that I can see, I mean, I'm probably sure there is with the oil. If you put the certain amount of oil in, it can control your damping, but I just figure on sticking with factory for now. But if you notice your suspension's really plush and you hear some like squeaking noises in your front suspension, it means your fork oil is bad, or there's not enough in there, which was my problem. It was very old, original fork oil, wasn't really lubricating the forks as I wanted to. Make sure you inspect your fork boots if yours has them, and I do recommend you getting them, because they do keep a lot of dust and dirt and grime all off your forks and make it all just a lot nicer. Really tightened up the forks on it, got a lot more control out of the bike. So there she is, folks. 1978 Yamaha dt250 enduro fork oil change. So please comment, rate, and subscribe, and we'll get back to you later. Take her easy.